For my daughter's 8th birthday, my parents sent her a rose-colored dress in the mail. She seemed thrilled at first, but then abruptly stopped. "What's this, Mommy?" she asked. I bent closer to inspect it, and my hands started shaking. I didn't weep, I just acted. The next day, my parents kept calling non-stop. The package arrived on a Thursday, a cardboard box, one edge slightly crumpled. Maya's name was scrawled on the shipping label in my mom's familiar handwriting. That precise, slanted script she used for packages, and those faintly sharp-edged Christmas cards. I didn't dwell on it then, figuring it was a belated birthday gift. Nothing major. I carried the box inside and placed it on the kitchen table, next to some unfinished cereal bowls and a unicorn sketch Maya had only partially colored. Typical morning clutter. Maya's face brightened when she saw the package. She loves getting mail. You could wrap a stone in paper, and she'd treat it like a priceless gem. She'd thank you as if you'd paid off her future student loans. She wore mismatched socks and had toothpaste smeared on her chin. I told her to open it, and she did. Inside, tucked in a single sheet of pristine tissue paper, folded with care as my mother always does, Maya pulled it back and gasped softly. "It's a dress," she said, lifting it up. It was rose-colored, delicate, with tiny stitched stars along the bottom. The kind of dress you'd wear to a fairy-tale-themed party or a school music recital. Not my taste, but Maya looked at it like it was enchanted. "Wow," my husband said, glancing up from his laptop. "Fancy, she'll outgrow it in a month." "Probably," I said, not harshly. Maya gave the hem a little spin, twirling gently in a circle. I almost called it charming. Then she stopped. Not gradually, not with flair, she just froze. She stared at the front of the dress as if it had whispered something, her brows knitted. "Mommy," she said. "What is this?" I walked over. She turned the dress toward me. And that was the moment. That exact instant. Everything inside me began to unravel. There it was, tiny white thread embroidered in cursive just above the chest. Little Emily. My hands shook before my mind caught up. "What's wrong?" Maya asked. Her voice was small, unsure. My husband came over and peered at the stitching. "That's odd. Maybe they meant to customize it and got the name wrong." "Was it a mistake?" Maya asked. "Did they think I'm someone else?" She looked at me again. "Who's Emily?" I didn't answer, not aloud, but in my head I said it. "We don't talk about Emily in this house. Not because it's banned, but because we know better." "I don't mind," Maya said. "It's still pretty. I can wear it even if the name's not mine." "No," I said, "you're not wearing it." "But it's fine, you're not wearing it." I didn't shout, but my tone left no room for debate. I took the dress, carefully but firmly. I left the room. Didn't slam anything. Didn't explain. I just walked to the bedroom and shut the door. I sat on the bed's edge, still holding the dress. My hands shook so much the fabric quivered. It wasn't the same dress, but it was close enough. Same rose hue, same rounded collar, same starry embroidery. They hadn't kept the original, they had a new one crafted, and then stitched her name on it, as if that was some kind of gesture, as if that made sense. My breathing grew shallow. You know that feeling, like your lungs can't hold the air you're trying to pull in. I kept the dress on my lap as if it might speak again. Outside the door, nothing, quiet. Maya didn't follow. She's learned when to leave me alone. I hate that she's already learned that at her age. I stared at that name. And here's the part where I'm supposed to explain why it mattered, why it broke me, why I sat holding a new rose-colored dress like it was a ticking bomb. But I won't explain, not yet, because you'd think I was overreacting. You'd think it's just a name, just stitching, just a dress. You'd be wrong. That name changed everything. That dress, that was the line. After this, nothing would be the same. Not between me and my parents. Emily is my sister, but that's just the beginning. Before Maya ever saw that dress, I'd seen it before. Not exactly. But close enough that my hands knew the shape before my mind did. There was a moment, a room, a party, and a dress, almost identical to this one. That's where it began. It wasn't just the name that hit me first. Yes, the cursive white embroidery, stitched across the front like a tag on something mass-produced. Little Emily. But it wasn't just the name, it was everything else. The texture, the shade, the length, the stars. I hadn't seen that dress in 20 years, but my body recalled it before my brain did, like the air changed, like it carried something ancient. They hadn't bought this from a store. They hadn't found it by chance. They had it made, deliberately, like a memory they wanted to wear again. I sat with it for a long time, not crying, not speaking, just sitting. And at some point, quietly, I realized this wasn't for Maya. It was for them. Because this wasn't the first time they gave a rose-colored dress to a little girl in the family. And acted like it meant something. It was my birthday, I was turning 6. We had guests over, aunts, cousins, neighbors, who weren't really close but showed up anyway. Because my mother had a knack for guilt-tripping invitations. But no one said happy birthday to me because Emily had just joined a dance group. A youth program with a name like Star Glow or Shine Studio. Something bright and grand. The party wasn't for me. Not really. Emily came out in her rose-colored dress, the original one, twirling, like she was born with spotlights in her eyes. Everyone applauded. Someone snapped a photo. My mother glowed like she'd won a prize. I stood at the room's edge, clutching a juice box. At one point, I approached my mom, and whispered, "It's my birthday." She didn't look at me when she said it. "Don't make this about you." I remember walking back to the sofa and sitting down. I remember thinking, oh, it wasn't the first time Emily overshadowed me. It was just the first time I realized I'd never catch up. She was 2 years older, but the gap between us felt infinite. She had the kind of charm that made teachers lean forward and listen. She could enter a room and leave with everyone's admiration tucked in her pocket. She wasn't mean. Not exactly. She just soaked up all the light, and the rest of us learned to squint. I used to copy her handwriting, her posture, even her laugh. I thought there was a formula, and if I could crack it, maybe I'd get the same warmth she did. But no matter how much I tried, I never learned how to be her. Years passed. We grew up. Emily moved from job to job, city to city, relationship to relationship. She stayed just long enough to win people over, but never long enough to settle. She didn't disappear. She just moved too fast for us to keep up. Then she announced her big plan. She was starting a brand, not just a shop, a brand. It was going to be stylish, eco-friendly, high-impact, low-waste. She had the buzzwords perfected, and I almost believed she knew what they meant. She showed us a website, mock-ups of handmade clothing, polished sample photos. She said she had partnerships ready. Said buyers were already waiting. All she needed was funding to scale production. It wasn't a gift, she clarified. It was an investment. She promised repayment within a year, maybe even triple the return, depending on how fast the second collection grew. At first, the requests were small. A few hundred here, 1,000 there. She was careful not to ask for too much at once. She sent updates, screenshots, invoices, even what looked like messages from buyers. Then came bigger requests. She said a boutique in Los Angeles placed a large order, and she needed funds to cover production. Then a showroom in New York. Then an influencer wanted exclusive rights. We believed her. My parents gave what they could. I gave more than I should have, because she wasn't just my sister, she was the star. And when she shone, we all got to feel a bit of that glow. Until the day she stopped responding. First came delays, then ignored calls, then vague texts about being swamped and needing time. And then nothing. And with her silence, the money vanished too. At first, we feared something awful had happened. An accident, a crisis, but nothing emerged. What did come was a short letter, flat, cold. She said she'd moved overseas, needed space and time. Hoped we'd understand. No apology, just that. And slowly, painfully, we pieced together the truth. There was no business, no production, no suppliers, no orders, just a website. And behind it, nothing. She took every dollar we gave and spent it. Not on materials or marketing or shipping, but on herself, trips, hotels, gifts, and who knows what else. She took everything and then vanished. The damage wasn't just financial. It turned legal. I started getting calls about accounts I never opened, credit lines I never touched. She'd taken loans in my name, opened credit cards, small amounts at first, then larger, always staying one step ahead. The police called it a civil matter. The bank said it was my word against hers. The debt lingered, growing interest, pulling me under. My parents were devastated. They kept saying, "We're broken," as if repeating it would make me forget their role. But they were the ones who handed her the spark, and I helped light it. I stepped up, took extra shifts, helped with their mortgage, paid their overdue bills, one after another, until my hands shook every time the month ended. And through it all, I thought we were in it together. I thought we'd learned the same lesson until the comments began. Maya looks so much like Emily at that age. She has her spark. Maybe she'll dance too. I thought it was just nostalgia. Then the gifts started, books, outfits, a gentle nudge toward familiar patterns, and then came the dress. And everything that followed. I didn't react the way I expected. No shouting, no sharp gasps, just a stillness that settled in my bones and stayed. I picked up my phone instead, still sitting on the bed's edge. The dress beside me like a quiet ghost. I opened my banking app, then another, then another. Each one opened like a calm assistant asking what I needed. I stopped the grocery card payments. I stopped the monthly transfers. I stopped the half payments for their mortgage. Done, done, done. It was quiet, methodical, almost calming, like clearing old emails. I didn't hesitate to question it. My body was moving on something deeper than thought. I left the apps open a moment longer than needed, just to confirm it was over. Then I stood, folded the dress, placed it carefully on the corner desk, and went to bed. The next morning I woke before dawn. Maya was still asleep. My husband was up, brewing coffee, tired-eyed but already in his work shirt. "You sure?" he asked when he saw me with the dress. I nodded. "I won't be long. Can you get her ready for school?" "Of course." He didn't ask more. I folded the dress again, this time into a plain paper bag, added a handwritten note, 3 short lines, each heavier than it seemed. "You lost one daughter. I'm the one who stayed. You just never saw me. Don't call me again. I'm done paying your debts. If you need help, ask Emily." The drive was silent, not long, but long enough to doubt myself. I didn't. Their house looked unchanged, which felt like a cruel joke. Same overgrown rosemary bush out front. Same cracked planter. Same dent in the garage door from the year Dad reversed too fast on New Year's Eve. I got out, walked to the porch, set the bag down, no doorbell, no sharp knock, just me, standing there, then walking away. The first call came at 9:10 a.m., another by 10. I had 6 missed calls and 2 voicemails by 11. I stopped counting. I listened to one voicemail just to hear it. My mother's voice, sharp with shock. "What is this? Returning a birthday gift, what kind of message is that?" My father in the background muttering, "What does she mean she's not paying anymore? What's she talking about?" More calls, more texts, most ignored, some unprintable. At 12:27 I answered. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear them say it directly, or maybe I wanted to say something back. My mother didn't hesitate. "You're being cruel," she snapped. "You're doing this to punish us for something we didn't do." Really, she fooled us all, and yet I'm still paying for it. She's your sister. She was your favorite. Don't be petty. That almost made me laugh, almost. "We lost her," my mother said, softer now. "You know we lost a daughter. You didn't lose her. She took everything you gave and left, and now you're trying to take Maya too." I let that sit, let it echo. "You don't want Maya," I said. "You want Emily, you're just looking for her in someone else." "That's not fair." "No," I said. "What's not fair is that I stayed. I cleaned up her mess. I worked 2 jobs. I sent you money every month and it was never enough." "Was it?" Silence. "That's not true. Name one time you looked at me and didn't see a letdown." More silence. "You're being dramatic." "I'm being done." I hung up. Then I blocked their number. I erased all the scheduled payments. Rent support, grocery card top-ups, water bill transfers. I opened a new spreadsheet, titled it What Belongs to Me. It was nearly empty, but for once it was untainted. Not quite peace, but it was mine. I thought it was finished. That the worst was behind me, I was mistaken. I believed the dress was the breaking point. The phone calls, the blocked contacts, the stopped payments. I thought that was the end. The flames had burned out. The damage was contained. But there was more on the way. The kind that doesn't appear until you think it's safe to rest. The kind that slips in quietly and makes you realize the ground you stood on was never truly stable. At first, it was chatter. Cousins, aunts. People who hadn't reached out in years, suddenly finding their words. "You really cut off your parents over a dress. You should talk to someone. This isn't healthy. They're your family." The messages came in waves, steady and predictable. Some were courteous. Some were sanctimonious. Some feigned concern. One even included a praying hands emoji, which somehow felt worse than an outright insult. I ignored them all. Then came a call I never anticipated. Unknown number. Late afternoon. I was folding clothes, my mind blissfully blank, a rare moment of calm. I almost didn't pick up, but I did. "Hey," my body stiffened. I hadn't heard that voice in 5 years. But my instincts recognized it instantly. "Emily." "I heard you cut them off," she said. "No pleasantries, no remorse, just that. They told you that." "Yeah, we've been talking." That was the part they never mentioned, the part I hadn't even thought to question. "You've been in touch this whole time, pretty much." "Where have you been?" She paused. "Around." "Around," I echoed. "You disappeared, you didn't call, you didn't text, we didn't even know if you were alive." "I needed space." "You needed money." Silence. I sat down slowly, still clutching a pair of socks. I wasn't folding anymore, just holding them as if they'd anchor me. You stole from us. I didn't. You did. You called it an investment. You promised profits. You had fake clients, fake invoices, fake everything, and you took every cent we gave you. I didn't mean. You destroyed my credit. You opened accounts in my name. Do you know what that cost me? I worked 2 jobs. I couldn't get a mortgage. I had to pause everything I wanted to clean up your mess. She inhaled sharply, but said nothing. You broke us, I said, low and even. And then you vanished. I didn't know what else to do. Start with an apology. They need you, she said abruptly. Deflecting as always. They're getting older, things are tough. Then why don't you help them? Another pause. It's complicated, I can't right now, things are tight. You were always the reliable one, she said. You have a job, a house. A family, you're good at this. I stared at the floor. My hands rested still in my lap. I could hear her breathing on the other end. Steady, soft, calculated. They don't say it, she continued, but they value what you've done. They're struggling, I know, then why cut them off? Because I'm exhausted. Everyone gets exhausted, she said. For a moment I thought she might sound human. But you don't give up. No, I said, you don't get it. I'm finally choosing myself, something you've always excelled at. She didn't reply. If you want to throw it all away because you're mad, that's on you. And just like that, she hung up. I stared at the phone for a long time. A part of me had hoped, even now, it would be different. But she hadn't called to reconnect. She'd called to press a button that once worked. And when it didn't, she ended the call, like she always did, when things got too hard. The next morning there was a knock at the door. Early, I was making coffee. Maya was upstairs getting ready. My husband opened the door before I could stop him. And there they were, my parents. My mother held a bakery box in both hands. My father stood behind her like a statue weighed down by debts. We just want to talk, she said. We're not here to fight. I didn't invite them in, didn't move closer. I stood in the kitchen, arms crossed, coffee half poured. You've been talking to Emily, I said. They didn't deny it. We have, my mother answered. For a while now. How long? Since the year she left. So, while she needed help, and you needed money which I gave you, and you used my money to help her. It wasn't like that. No. It was exactly like that. My father spoke then for the first time. She's in trouble, he said. Real trouble, she's scared. She's always scared, I snapped. She made mistakes. She's your sister, and I'm your daughter. They didn't respond. I was the one who stayed. I was the one who helped. And you let me think I was helping you, when I was really helping her, you just didn't say it. We didn't know how to tell you. I let out a sharp, bitter laugh, soft but cutting. You watched me work 2 jobs, you watched me pay your bills, and you said thank you straight-faced, while sending my money to the person who caused the mess. It's not that simple. Then make it simple, explain it. But they couldn't. She's our daughter too, my mother said finally. So am I. My husband hadn't spoken since opening the door. Now he stood behind me, arms folded, face unreadable, not angry, just finished. I think you should leave, he said calmly. They didn't argue, they just looked at me, as if I were the one who'd broken something. And maybe I had. It's been over a year since that morning. No word from them, no calls, no messages. Nothing from their end. And nothing from mine. I heard through someone, a distant cousin, or maybe one of those family acquaintances who think email chains are a personality, that Emily returned. Apparently, things abroad fell apart. When the money ran out, so did the stability. She's living with my parents again. It adds up. She always knew where to land. They're selling the house now. Too much maintenance. Too many costs. It's not the first time she's drained them. But it might be the first time they've noticed. I didn't ask where they're going. I don't care to know. Maya doesn't mention them anymore. She used to. Small things, like if Grandma would come to her next performance. But the questions faded. Kids understand more than we realize. Now it's just us, the 3 of us. Sunday mornings are for pancakes. Maya plays music while brushing her teeth. My husband fixed that cabinet hinge I ignored for years, and I sleep now. Truly sleep. The kind where you wake up feeling safe. No rose-colored dress in the closet. No silent comparisons in the air. Just Maya being Maya, just me. Finally more than the one who stayed. Was it too much? Was it not enough? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe.